Hello, peeps. Welcome back in for another exciting episode. so, I was looking on Chat GPT for different ideas with the Unmothered episodes, and man, it just gave me a ton of information, which was so great. So, you can just pull different things and then do a whole segment. And one of the things that it brought up, was about being too kind. So, does your kindness attract the wrong people? This was a really interesting thing for me because as a trauma informed coach, I've realized that a lot of our emotions and the kind of habits that we've come from as a child can go into our adult lives without us realizing that maybe some of those things need to be tweaked, eliminated, or just recognized so that we're not falling into bad patterns. And one of these was when you grow up with a fractured emotional regulation, we can be overly nice. Well, that's one thing. We can be shut down or people pleasing. I mean, pretty much any kind of emotion we can swerve to more and not more than like a healthy mix for it. So sometimes we become targets for other dysfunctional people that can take advantage of our kindness or people pleasing if they see that quality in us. So I kind of wanted to dig into the kindness thing because I think that sometimes when we are the caregivers in our family with our toxic moms, it spills over into our relationship. So let's dive into this kind of situation. So I was recently talking to a relative, and we were talking about how she actually had to escape a really bad relationship. And one of the things that is a constant in her life is that she's a person who loves to take care of people. She's the first one to bring a meal to somebody, to volunteer, to help out, to like stop everything and take care of her friends, go over, make sure everyone is happy, make sure everyone is content. But what happens is she wasn't doing that for herself. She wasn't like helping herself. And so when you are that person who is kind all the time to an overly excess kind of way, what happens when a destructive person comes in and takes advantage of that? And how do they always know that you're the bleeding heart that will probably fall for them? Well, I used to say that we were magnets for bad boys back in the day. They can spot us a mile away. And honestly, this can happen in friendships too. We can be the ones that are always comforting or coming to someone's rescue when they need it. And that kindness is being taken advantage of. So it's funny that when I talk to a lot of women that have been through big T traumas in their lives, and they tend to fall for the guys that are really strong and macho. And they're kind of like these guys that are like, "Oh, I'm going to be your protector. I'm going to be the guy that's just going to be in your corner all the time." But what happens is, well, they'll say, "I'm not going to hurt you ever. Trust me." But they end up hurting you. And I read somewhere that your light threatens their darkness. And I thought, oof, that's kind of a true statement. They see the goodness in you to a fault, and they come in with their mischievous ways and they want to take advantage of that. There is some truth to that. And I think that we have a silent strength that is threatening to someone who doesn't know themselves, but they cover it up with brashness and bravado. I used to gravitate towards aggressive men, bold men, and also girlfriends. But I'm learning that being an HSP, a highly sensitive person, I need friendships and relationships in general to be soft and quieter. I remember a time when I would bend over backwards for boyfriends because I wanted to be the most important person to them, and I never considered what I deserved. I had one incident that after, it's funny, when I was researching this story came up for me, and I was like, oh, this is so good of who I used to be. I had this long-term relationship with someone, and we had been broken up for a while. I had gotten married, and then my marriage fell apart, and I was single again, and he called. And there was something about him that I always felt this like tingling of like, he's the true love of my life, and we're going to someday end up together. And so he called and asked if I could come over, and my heart skipped a beat. And I just love this person so much. And so I jumped at the chance thinking that, oh, it's going to be different this time because so much time has passed. Like he knows what I've been through, and he's my knight in shining armor. He's coming to my rescue. And so I went over, and the first thing was, I remember the door was open and the screen door was there. And I knocked on the screen door, and I heard a, just come in. No, didn't get up to greet me. There was no warm hug. There was no like, oh my gosh, like, I just love you. I missed you. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, great. So I walked in, and the first thing out of his mouth, I'm not kidding, he's sitting on the couch and he said, oh, can you get me a beer out of the fridge? Like, hi, can you get me a beer? I was like, okay. And he was watching a basketball game on TV, and he hardly looked my way. And I was gutted. And I wanted him to jump off the couch, hug me close, and just tell me how much he loved me and he missed me, and, so glad you're back here, and like, let's start over or something. I don't know, some romantic comedy kind of thing. That didn't happen. And so I remember grabbing the beer out of the fridge. And as I had the refrigerator open, I had this awakening and rage that rose up in me. And I sat down and I handed him the beer, and I stayed there for about 20 minutes. And then I just jumped up and said, I've got to go. And he's like, what? You just got here. Like, what's going on? And I left, and I never went back. It was like something in me just flipped a switch of like, I am not going to be the nice person that just like bends over backwards for you. Like, that's what I want in a partner. I want someone to bend over backwards for me once in a while, especially when we haven't grown up with a mom who's been nurturing. It's like, how many times do I have to be kind and nurture to you without you reciprocating that back to me? Like, you should be, if you're calling me and asking me to come over, it's not so that I can take care of you. It's that you miss me and you want to show me how much you care about me. So at that moment, I realized that would never be the person. As much as I loved him, as much as our relationship was so romantic back in the day, this is what happens when you're in your early 20s. You think it's the love of your life, and you just keep trying to recreate this rom-com, beautiful romance story. It was never going to be that. When he looked at me, my knees buckled. Like, that was clear. The chemistry was there. But the day to day, when you're talking about, you haven't seen this guy in 2 years, 2+ years, and he says, come in and get me a beer. Yeah, no, that's not happening. And so it was really crazy because I had to start this journey of like, how nice do I have to be in order to be loved? And it wasn't that. That was too much. I deserved more, and I didn't need to sacrifice my kindness for it. I needed to heal that part in me thinking that I had to give my all before I determined that someone was worth it or was a safe place for me. The relative that I talked about earlier had to end that relationship too, and she had to leave town to get away from that toxic person. It was really drastic, but she needed a reset. And now she's digging into the why of how she got to this place in the beginning. We have to work on authentic reasons of why we need to be so giving, people pleasing, etc. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't be those things, but what is the motivation behind it? Are we doing it out of the goodness of our heart, or because we lack love and desperately need it from another person who doesn't offer it back to us? This is where our childhood thing comes in, our childhood traumas. We become the caregivers. We become the people pleasers. We are the people that are dependable to our mothers. And so we then in turn grow up and become that person for everybody else. And that's a toxic trait. We shouldn't be doing that and giving that away freely. People need to earn our trust too. We need to know that other people are going to give and not just take out of a relationship. And this can be in love relationships, this can be in friendships, this can be with your relatives. It's like, how much are people pulling from you and not giving back? And why are we doing that too? Because people pleasing also is a control thing. And that can be a really toxic trait. Like, people think like, well, I'm just a people pleaser, I'm so kind. It's like, no, that can be kind of toxic in its own way too, because what's the motivation behind you doing it? And then do you manipulate people by saying, well, I did this for you, like you should be grateful to me because I do all this stuff for you, and so you should just want to do everything for me, kind of thing. So it can work both ways. So here's some things to think about. Are you the kind of person that is kind because it's genuinely your personality, or because you desperately need that love? Knowing all of this will help you pull back on feelings like you have to be the person that does everything for everyone. Don't be that person. You can let other people pitch in and help, and you can sit back and relax a little bit. I would reflect on why you tend to fall into caregiving mode with your relationships. It could be because you had to do that as a child. Realize that you don't require that kind of care for someone to love you. And if you do, they are not your person. Bad boys always look for the kind, sweet girls. They know that we will bend over backwards to make things work. Because of their perfectionism, they also won't tell anyone when something is terribly wrong. They don't want to admit defeat, so they'll trudge along and try to make it work. And this can have disastrous results. Don't be that girl. You can still be sweet and strong. Know your worth. Don't let anyone walk all over your kindness. As I've said before, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. I don't have to change my original personality to fit into yours. You are kind. You are strong. You are important. It's a reference from The Help, but it's a good one. So I hope this episode helped you guys. And until next time, I'll see you later, peeps.